Hello everybody, Chris9017 here, and we just got ourselves a beautiful Rapido 422 Stirling single locomotive, part of the National Railway collection at the National Railway Museum in York. Originally from locomotion models done many years ago, back in 2015. They just did a rerun early last year in 2025, and I bought this on eBay, and it was in New York City. It was a fairly decent deal. These go for like $1,000 on eBay because they're just so popular in demand. They at first went for around 200 pounds, which is close to $300 here, maybe a little more. But so I wouldn't have to pay the expensive tariffs. I just clicked the buy it now button and got it from New York, and here it is. This is the National Railway collection with the higher tender from Rapido, and yeah, Stirling single, museum condition, sound fitted. There are two variations. This is the one with the larger tender from in its current appearance, and then there's the one with the shorter tender, which is the tender it's worn since, well, it's the early 1900s up until 2013, I believe, when they did a refurbishment on the Stirling single to restore its appearance to how it was built originally in the 1870s. So here we go. Let's open the box. And I had the box on there very loosely so we could get the box off quite easily. Here's the instruction manual. And because we got the DCC Sound model, it will show us the sound functions. And it'll show us the difference between the older variation from 2015 and the current variation. And you can see that's the older run from 2015, and that's the newer run, and the different variation, the National Railway Museum collection, and the smaller tender. And it shows you the drawbar tender engine to tender connector. It's just like Bramble Beauty, our SCNCR 01060, also from Rapido. So it's a similar concept, and it shows you the screws to put on the beautiful fenders that go by the pilot wheels. However, if you're just going to display it, that's when you need to put them on. But if you're going to run them around tight corners, best not to put them on or have them on the wider radius so you can make those tight turns. And it gives you the what to do running in. And if you're going to service this, do not remove the cover plate since it's a nightmare. But removing the body is fairly easy from what we've seen on Sam trains. So it's best to take the body off and oil and grease it from the top and have the grease work its way down to the bottom gears. That's probably the best way to do it. Unlike the SCNCR 01060, where you just drop oil into the hole and don't even think about taking that thing apart, this one you can take apart by removing the body off and just servicing it from the top down to the bottom. It's got a very good mechanism. And it shows you about installing all the accessories, which is pretty easy. In installing the DCC decoder, we don't have to do that because this one has it. And it shows you how to disassemble the tender. And it shows the exploded view diagrams, all the functions. And I will admit, the sound quality from the newer run is better than the older run, but I like the sound of the whistle better from the older run than I do from the newer run. And there is a way to have the whistles changed through the programming. It's just by pressing a button, and that changes the whistles from the old and the new runs. But the chuff and the switching and all the bells and whistles are better on the newer run. And there you can see the Rapido Stirling single. Again, these are just impossible to find and are super, super popular. And you may know of the Stirling single because of Thomas and Friends Emily. I do have an HO scale Thomas and Friends Emily, and I do have a large scale Thomas and Friends Emily, which I plan on putting a Blue Nami decoder in. But yeah, here are pictures of the real life Stirling single, and it's on display at the National Railway Museum in York, and I'll be going there this September to see it. Okay, so there's the exploded diagram of the locomotive and tender, and yes, you can see everything under the hood. It uses a really good coreless motor, and it has the flywheel, so this is a really good locomotive. And Sam's Train says this is a really top-of-the-line model, and many say this is the best in 00 gauge, and I can see why. And yes, that is a Lionel Legacy Heisler you're seeing over there. It's a 2015 model. Gorgeous locomotive. I just got it. And wow. I'm still yet to run it, but I love the mesh stack. I love that it's got these weird injectors in the front because there was supposed to be a water heater there, and it's based off the St. Regis Paper Company number 92. But again, yeah, here's more on the Stirling single. There's the tender, and here it gives the information on the locomotive. Yeah, Patrick Stirling is born. He was the one who designed it. Stirling appointed as the locomotive superintendent of the Great Northern Railway. 1870, built the first one at Doncaster Works. That's the engine that still survives. 1888, raced to the north between Great Northern and many other railways. Number 1 is withdrawn from service and set aside for preservation, and that's when the little tender is put with it, and the larger tender was probably set aside for use with larger locomotives. Number 1 attends the Imperial International Exhibition with the smaller tender attached. Number 1 is then restored in 1934 at Doncaster. 1925, it takes part in the Stockton-Darlington 100th anniversary celebration. 38, the 50th anniversary race to the north, and Flying Scotsman is in service alongside it. 1981, it returns to service at the Great Central Railway in Lydenborough. And in 1985, it steams up for the last time. 2014 is when the larger tender is found, and after being used as a water storage tank, it is fully restored and is coupled up behind the locomotive. And in 2015, Rapido announces the first run of the 00 gauge Stirling single, and in 2024, they do the re-release. And that's what we have here is the re-release from 24. Yeah, so this is the 24. It's got the newer sound system, but with the right controller, I'll program it to have the old whistle. Now, I'll keep the new sound system, but give it back the old whistle. And wow, you can just see how gorgeous this thing is right in the blister pack. Locomotive and tender are not in separate packages like on the SCNER Bramble Beauty 060, but still, this is amazing. Now we're gonna move this out, and then we're gonna set up the track and run this in a little bit. I also finally got my Bachmann Improved Precedent Class 240 to run after finally getting a hold of a new motor and DCC Sound decoder from UChoose. Here is the the accessories bag, and it's got the fenders and the chain link couplings. And good, they've included the screws in this one, because I know on many of these, Rapido has forgotten to pack the screws. So it's possible Rapido has missed a few locomotives, and they've gotten a few, but I was one of the few that actually got the screws, so I can, once after running this in, I can screw in the fenders. So without further ado, let's open this up. Yeah, it makes quite the noise. And unveil her. Ah! Whoops! Ah! Whoops! This thing does not want to go back. Okay. Let's get the tender out first. Wow. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. That is just gorgeous. And now let's get the locomotive. Wow. Oh my God. Oh my God. This thing is stunning. And I just love it has metal handrails. And just look at that gorgeous detail. Wow. When people were saying that this is the best engine in 00 gauge, they were not joking. This really is one of the finest models made in 00 gauge. And although the firebox is in the closed position, the firebox door, it still has the in-glowing firebox effect. And wow, you can see the water injectors, and wow, the red valve gear eccentrics. These engines were built with external cylinders to make them easier to service. And in America, external cylinders are a thing, whereas in England, they weren't really a thing. But they became more common on larger locomotives as locomotives evolved and became bigger, more driving wheels, and became more powerful. And yes, I was going to show you this. You just press these together, and they should go right in. But you shouldn't really have to separate them unless you're going to package it up or service the locomotive to a point where it requires you to separate the two. Like if you have to take the body off to oil the motor, or if you have to take the tender shell off to put in the DCC decoder. Otherwise, that's not really necessary to separate them. And the pickups, they go right through the axles. Down there is the tender, and it should have a decent sized speaker. It's most definitely larger than the tender on the SCNER 060. And this feels cold to the touch. This feels cold to the touch, meaning that is metal. And so does the cab. The boiler's metal. Wow. So is the smoke box, and so are the fenders. And they want you to pick it up right here where you won't break anything. So yes, pick it up around the cab and right here at the fender splashers. Where you're not prone to breaking anything. And Sam from Sam's Trains had issues with the spring. With it not, with the front driving wheels not sitting on the track. I'm not really having that issue, so I was probably lucky and got a spring that was, well, yeah, that was not pressing up the front driving wheels, because now it seems that the weight is tittering on those center drive wheels, and that's just what I like to see. That it's enough pressure to keep the front of the locomotive up, but not too much to push the front of the locomotive up, that the front drive wheels are not touching the rails, and only the rear wheels are touching the rails, because these two wheels back here are also driven, making this technically a 440 American class mechanically, when we all know it's a 422 Stirling single. They got this design probably off the Bachmann Emily, because Bachmann Emily's are practically 440 American class locomotives, where both the two center drive wheels and the rear trailing wheels are also integrated as drive wheels and are geared to power. But yeah, let me put this thing together. Hold on for just a moment. I'll put you up against the Heisler, and that way you can see the center drivetrain. I can't really see, it's kind of blurry there, but let me put the Stirling single together for just a moment. There we go. Snapped right into place, and we are in business. Yes, we are in business here. Oh, whoops. Lost part of the packaging here. And there we go. Would I say this is on par with the SENCR 01060 from Rapido as well? Most definitely. Most definitely. This is definitely as beautiful. Maybe a little bit more beautiful by a tad. But Rapido have outdone themselves with this machine and with the SENCR 060. And with the DCC Sound, they're unbelievable. They're not just HO scale models or 00 gauge models in Great Britain, but they're exact replicas of the real thing. It's like Rick Moranis took the shrink ray and shrunk down the real life prototypes down to 00 gauge, 1/76 scale. That is exactly how good they are. And every last detail is done perfectly to a T. I am not seeing any glue marks. I am not seeing wonky parts. I am seeing good quality, though it would have been better if this was electroplated. And the whistle's a little flimsy. That could have been turned metal, but I am so glad that unlike the SENCR 060, these are metal handrails. These grab irons are metal, so you will not have any of them breaking. Whereas I've had to glue those plastic handrails back onto the cab of the SENCR 060 because they just keep breaking away from the cab given how flimsy they are. And yes, we do have sprung metal buffers, all chrome, and just, oh gosh, look at this. Look at that. Gonna put those chain link couplers on. You've got the chrome painted smoke box door handle. Oh gosh. You can see how beautifully done this is. This was really done to the highest standards. No wonky parts. I can't fault anything with this locomotive. I literally can't. You can just see how gorgeous the tender is. Wow. This is how it looks right now at the National Railway Museum. This is just unbelievable. And she does look pretty sharp next to my 2015 Lionel Legacy Heisler. And there on my computer is the model from Rapido. Alrighty, let's put this down, set up the track, put it down there, and give it a good run. I'll see you in a few. Chris9017 out.